going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Shout out to everyone who support the platform. Much love, much love, much love. Salute to everyone that's in the building this afternoon. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to everyone. If y'all are here, y'all can hear me clearly. Please drop a 1 in the chat. Please drop a 1 in the chat. Please drop a 1 in the chat. Let me know if y'all can hear me clearly out there. Drop a 1 in the chat. Let me know if y'all can hear me clearly so we can get right into the show. Okay, let me see if you guys can hear me. Okay. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Shout out to everyone in the building. And of course, we are back right here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. I'm y'all host, DS1 Ross, of course. I appreciate all the love and the support. Good afternoon to everyone. Shout out to everyone that's in the building, man. Happy Saturday. Shout out to everyone that's in the building, man. We got another great one lined up for you guys this afternoon. So make sure y'all hit the like button on the way in. Hit the like button, please. Double tap y'all screens. If y'all are here through the vertical feed. Let's shout everyone out that's in the building. Shout out to all the lovely lady mods. Welcome back to all the new supporters. And then we're going to get into the show. Because I think today's show is very important in today's time. So shout out to everyone. Shout out to New York Nikki, baby. What's up, New York Nikki? How you doing? Good afternoon to you. Shout out to you, one of my lovely lady mods that always come through and hold it down. Thank you so much, New York Nikki. Shout out to you, always coming through and decorating the chat. I appreciate you. Shout out to my man, Art of War. What's good, Art of War? Salute. Hey, Keita T. Shout out to Miss Keita T in the building. Good afternoon to you. Salute. Shout out to my man, Big Dice in the building. Salute. Salute, Big Dice. Shout out to Team Guardian. Hey, Miss Angie. Shout out to Miss Angie B. How you been, Miss Angie? Happy New Year and all that good stuff to you. Hope all is well with you. Good to see you, Miss Angie B. Shout out to Miss Angie, y'all. You know she one of the lovely lady mods. She just haven't been around in a while. But shout out to you, Miss Angie B. Great to see you. Welcome back. What's up, Scorpio? Shout out to Miss Scorpio Mama in the building. One of my lovely lady mods that always come through and hold it down for me. Thank you, Scorpio. Shout out to my man, Bob. What up, Bob? Salute to you, fam. He said, I'm super tired. Salute to you, bro. Shout out to my man, Third Ward in the building. Salute. Appreciate your support, Third. Shout out to Miss Classy Creole in the building. Hey, Miss Classy Creole, how you doing? Salute to you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you holding it down for me. Thank you so much. Miss Classy Creole. My man D's in the building. What up, D's? You already know, man. Hey, Itch, how you doing? What up, Itch? Oh yeah, we gonna get into it, man. We gonna get into it. We gotta talk about this today. He said it says I went to a rival SWAC school, JSU. Hey, Sin. Shout out to Sin in the building. Another one of my lovely lady mods in the building today. What's up, Sin? How you been? Happy Saturday to you. See who else is in the building. Make sure I don't miss no one before we get into it. Shout out to Let Me Put the Tip in the building. What's good, bro? What's good, man? Shout out to my bro, man. What's going on? Shout out to my man Sonny B. What up, Sonny? Shout out to Sonny Blanco in the building. Salute, salute, salute. Shout out to Sonny B. Shout out to Queen Shay. Hey, Queen Shay, how you doing? Happy Saturday to you, Queen Shay. See who else in here before we get into it. What's up, Goku? Salute. SS4 Goku. What's good? What up, Maybach? Shout out to my guy Maybach in the building. Salute. What's up, Young Reyes? Shout out to Young Reyes in the building. Big Ruck. What's good, Big Ruck? You already know, bro. We're gonna get into it today, man. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna talk about these Greek fraternities, man. Shout out to my man Cleveland. Oh, yeah, we getting into it today, champ. Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up, Brownie? How you doing? Shout out to Brownie in the building. What's going on with you, young lady? Shout out to the underrated one in the building. Salute, 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 salute. Make sure I didn't miss anyone. Shout out to my man Po Boy Films in the building. Salute, 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 salute. Shout out to my brother Po Boy Films in the building, man. Y'all see today's show. We're gonna get into the Caleb Wilson story today. This is a tragic, very tragic story. Very tragic story. And I think this is just another cautionary tale of us understanding or the need to understand what's going on out here. See, in the past, right, parents needed something to put their children into, something constructive, something that was going to help them build character, build a work ethic, things of that nature. And I'm going to say, since I was young, right, the whole fraternity thing has always been a big thing, right? It's always been a big thing. Going to college and, being in a fraternity or being in a sorority, that was a big thing, especially for millennials. I'm part of the millennial generation. So us millennials, the millennial generation is nothing. We're like Gen X times two, the millennials. We're the last generation of a lot of the old way of doing things. Okay? Let me say that. We're the last generation that still hold a little traditional values. That also depends on your parents and how you were raised. But for the most part, a lot of us millennials, we're the last generation of a lot of this older way of being and the old way of following things in life. So coming out of high school, we talked about getting into college and, you know, certain people was going to join fraternities and sororities. And honestly, I always felt like I never fit into that stuff. You know, growing up, I thought that that was something that I couldn't, you know, it just wasn't like even in high school, it almost was like they made fraternities and sororities seem something that was like bougie or like you had to be, your parents had to be on a financial level and you had to have like a certain social status in high school, you know? So I never cared to be a part of it. I never was against it initially, but when I began to do research and look into the foundation of a lot of the knowledge that come out of these fraternities and sororities, that's when I begin to look down upon it. That's when I begin to look down upon it. When I started finding out that the fraternities and the sororities are the beginnings of a lot of our celebrities. You see? A lot of our favorite celebrities, a lot of A-list celebrities, a lot of them were in fraternities, a lot of them were in sororities. You see? And see, I learned all of this, y'all, when I was looking up stuff about the Illuminati, because the Illuminati is nothing but what? 13 what? Families. So the deeper I got into that stuff is when I start uncovering the fraternity and the sorority stuff. Even on our end, when it comes to black celebrities, when it comes to affluent blacks in society, most of our affluent blacks in society, a lot of them, the majority of them are a part of fraternities and sororities. You see? This is why back in the day, a lot of this stuff was hidden. A lot of this stuff was called conspiracy theory because they wanted us to not indulge in this type of information. They wanted us to not read about it. They wanted us to not care about it. They wanted us to not know. So this is why when you spoke about it, it was like, oh, you believe that? Oh, that's a conspiracy. Oh, you believe in conspiracy theories? Until we start looking more and more into it. You see? And see, we not talking about the deep spiritual stuff. We talking about things like our NBA players, a lot of our NFL players, a lot of our actors and actresses. You see? So Today, because y'all see the title, Greek Fraternities Exposed. The shocking Caleb Wilson story. Rest in peace to Caleb Wilson. Because this man lost his life trying to be a part of something that he didn't even understand. And see, these types of stories are coming out a lot more because a lot more of this stuff is happening in these fraternities and in these sororities. You see? See, they don't really want us to report on things like this because they don't really want us to understand how all of this stuff is connected. And see, over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, we connect the dots. We connect the dots. You see? So a lot of the stuff that goes on in the industry, right? Because there's a industry fraternal order as well, right? In colleges, some of the same things that go on in the industry to people who want to be down in the industry is the same thing that happens in these fraternities. You see how, remember who remembers the show Making the Band? Who remembers Making the Band? Diddy was making them do haze. He was hazing them. All the missions he had them doing, he was hazing them. Making them walk from Manhattan to Brooklyn to get a piece of cheesecake. Who later on we found out the cheesecake was for Beyonce. It wasn't for Diddy. These are hazing techniques that goes on in these fraternities, just like it go on in the industry. Now, why was Diddy hazing those guys and those girls from Making a Band? He's doing what was done to him. Y'all have to understand how this stuff is. Diddy is in a fraternity. Diddy's a Kappa. Diddy is HBCU alumni. See, look how this stuff is all connected. Diddy is a HBCU alumni, Howard University. HBCU alumni. Diddy first blew up throwing college parties. We heard Gene Deal tell the whole story. Same gang. They started throwing college parties. Diddy was throwing college parties. That thing that happened at that college, that was a college party. That was one of Diddy's college parties where all those kids got trampled. You see? This stuff is all connected. You see? This is nothing new. Y'all can look this stuff up. Some of these hazing techniques involve not just physical hurt, but they embarrass you. They shame you in front of people. They make you do things like run around people butt naked, run up the street butt naked. These are all hazing tactics, hazing techniques. You see? So today, we're going to get into the Caleb Wilson story and find out what happened with Caleb Wilson. And see, again, the reason why these hazing techniques are dangerous, they're built to humiliate you, right, Classy Creole? Because we don't understand that this stuff is rooted in Greek, right? Greco-Roman lifestyles. That's why they're called Greek fraternities. But if you look up the history of the Greeks and where they get a lot of their stuff from, where do y'all think it comes from? It comes from where? Egypt. See? So a lot of the sick rituals that they perform on each other in these Greek fraternities, that our children and our little brothers, little sisters, nieces, and nephews think that they're actually doing something to progress themselves in life. And what we're finding out is some of these kids are losing their lives because of the level of torture that these children are being put through during these rituals now. Now this stuff is not built to just humiliate you. They're actually physically hurting you now. These people are getting more and more diabolical. Yes, to pagan gods. Absolutely. Black 667. Absolutely. Third says, yeah, I never understood people's infatuation with wanting to be down with Greek fraternities and sororities, especially when, like you just said, you have to get hazed and embarrassed. Well, let me put it to you like this, Third. We can ask the same question for dudes who join gangs, because the fraternities and the sororities are just like the Bloods and the Crips. Just like you got different sets of the Bloods and the Crips, that's all these fraternities and sororities are. So back in our time, Third, because me and you both are millennials, right? Us, the guys who didn't go away to college and go get on a college campus and join a fraternity and join the band and be marching and all of that, a lot of us join sets in the streets. See, it's all connected. So if you grew up with 5 or 6 dudes, 2 or 3 of y'all probably went off to college and joined a fraternity, right? And then the other ones, you probably had 1 or 2 who became street dudes, and other dudes who probably tried to be positive, but they still joined the gang. They still joined the set. They still was associated or affiliated with a set. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Because see, remember in our time, right, it's about validation, Dice. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And in the millennial time, this is why I said we're similar to Gen X. That's why it's because we had to do shit for validation. You see? So a lot of people who went on to college and joined these fraternities, it was for them to, again, progress up the social ladder. That's what joining a fraternity or sorority was for. It was to help you be in the network of certain people where you could get certain jobs. This is how you had certain guys and certain girls that went into certain careers and was able to work for certain companies after high school, after college. They got internships. It's because they was around this network of people. And this network of people then went on to turn AKAs, then went on to become Kappas, then went on and became Sigmas, Deltas, Thetas. You see? All this stuff is connected. This is why we've always heard the saying growing up as millennials, it's not what you know, it's who you know. What do you actually think? What do you think that actually means? What do you think that's actually about? That's about your network of people you're connected to, your brotherhood, your sisterhood. You see? Remember, millennials, we from the era of letters of recommendation. Remember that? Remember, if you didn't have enough references for certain jobs back in the day, you can get a letter of recommendation from a person in your community, a high-ranking person in your community, like a community leader. Or you could get your teacher or your principal to write a letter of recommendation for you for this position, or one of your homeboys or one of your homegirls that work at this big firm, and she could co-sign you and you could use her. How do you think how do you think this stuff works? How do you think this stuff works? Hey, Shonda, how you doing? Good afternoon. Good to see you. She says, good afternoon, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. This story hits really close to home. I pledged Divine Nine at Southern many years ago and know that chapter well. Condolence to Caleb's family and all those impacted. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a very tragic story. Shout out to Mike. What up, Mike? How you doing, bro? He says, when I stayed in Atlanta, one cat told me while online he couldn't take a shower, cut his hair, and walking on burning sand. It's true. Wow. Wow. I've heard a lot of things as well. What's up, Mind Ballroom? I've heard things like, brothers that get beat with paddles. They would make them dress up. They would make them streak. Streaking is running around naked. But I definitely have a video that we're going to get into today that we're going to give our thoughts on. Shout out to my man Corey Love for getting this video to me. Thank you, Miss Classy Creole, for sending this to me. We're definitely going to get into this because, again, a lot of us come from families that are Divine Nine. A lot of our families are part of the Divine Nine Society. A lot of us come from a family where it's a thing to be in a fraternity. That's a family thing. Some of us come from them type of families. Just like it's a thing for you to grow up and be Christian. It's a thing for you to grow up and be Muslim. How that's in your family. In some families, it's a thing. You must grow up and join a fraternity. You must grow up and join a sorority. That's a family legacy. This is why I'm telling y'all this stuff is serious. and why we need to review this stuff and why we need to consider before putting our children around this stuff. Because in some people's families, this stuff is legacy. They can't tell a mother no. They can't tell a father no. I'm not pledging, Dad. What do you mean? I pledged, your grandfather pledged, your great-great-grandfather pledged. What do you mean no? Mom, I don't want to be in a sorority. Are you losing your mind, little girl? Do you know who your grandmother was? Do you know who your great-grandmother was? Do you know who we are in the Divine Nine Society? See, this is family legacy for some people. This is how deep this stuff is. Just like in LA, they're born into being Bloods and Crips. There's no choice in LA. In California, when you grow up in the Inglewood neighborhood, you don't have a choice but to be Inglewood family. There is no I'm a beast. No. All your uncles was this. All your cousins was this. Your daddy name was Big such and such on this street, such and such Paru. So what you mean no? What you mean you not gonna be Paru? This in your bloodline, boy. It's the same thing with these sororities and these fraternities. Some of this stuff go back 50, 60 years in people's families. And I'm talking about black folk, y'all. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about black people. So this is why we got to take this stuff serious, y'all. We really have to start looking into stuff and considering this stuff and stop doing stuff for social acceptance. Those days are over. We don't have to do things to be socially acceptable anymore. You know, we don't have to do things to blend in no more. You know, shout out to my man Zuma in the building. What up, Zuma? He says a lot of the old heads in my family are. I know. Po Boy says facts. That's my motivation for joining too. Great grandfather was an alpha. See? Legacy pledges. Absolutely cynical. Legacy. Yeah, we about to get to it, Dark Star Plumbing. We about to get to it, man. Shout out to Dark Star Plumbing. A lot of my people are Masons and been trying to get me. See? That too. All the Mason stuff goes back to fraternal order. It all goes back to fraternal order. I believe I had Masons in my family too. I'll find out one day. Itch says, I'm a child of an Omega Psi Phi dad and a Delta Sigma Theta mom. They went over in the 1960s. Wow. Shout out to you, Itch. See, that's in your bloodline, man. It's in your bloodline. Just like I found out, I have a lot of military background in my family. A lot of military background in my family. Shonda says, that's true. I tell anyone, don't join any Divine Nine organization or any other group without having a strong sense of self first, or else the organization can become your whole identity. And that's what we want to talk about today, Shonda. That's why they get us at a young age. What's up, Joy Random? Joy Random says, yeah, I moved to the South and was kind of shocked how proudly Greek so many black folks are. Yes, it's a culture down South. The Black Greek culture, it runs down South, Joy Random. Absolutely. It goes all into the love of sports and all of that stuff. So let's get into this video, man. Shout out to my man Corey Love again for getting me this video. This is a brother breaking down the hazing in black fraternities. So fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Big Ruck says Dub C put out guilty by affiliation. And yes, in LA, the neighborhoods can raise you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody who I know from the West Coast, whether they from North LA or Southern LA, they all tell me that the neighborhood raise you. It's the culture. The streets raise you. It's just like in New York too, Big Ruck. Except the West Coast is gangbang culture. You know? So let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Caleb Wilson was a 20-year-old junior from Kenner, Louisiana. He was a member of the world-famous Human Jukebox at Southern University and majored in mechanical engineering. He collapsed and died on February 27, 2025, while participating in an off-campus and unsanctioned fraternity ritual allegedly conducted by members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. According to the latest reports, the fraternity members lied about Caleb's death, claiming it happened when he passed out while exercising. In all likelihood, Caleb was punched in the chest along with the other pledges. That led to a seizure he never recovered from. His family said his passion for life, his dedication to his studies, and his love for music and the Southern University Human Jukebox Marching Band were just a few of the many qualities that made him an extraordinary person. Omega Psi Phi undergraduate chapters are allegedly responsible for the deaths of at least 5 other pledges dating back to 1978. My name.
Now hold up, y'all. And shout out to this brother, man. Shout out to this man. Shout out to Cam Jones, man. Shout out to Cam Jones. I appreciate you for this video, brother. Salute to you. Right? Notice what he said. He said Omega Psi Phi is responsible for 5 other deaths dating back to the 70s. See, a lot of times when we sign our children up for stuff, or we just see the glamour behind certain things, and we try to put our children there, we need to start doing more research, y'all. Because we only see the glamour. Like they said, Caleb was in love with the marching band. A lot of children that grow up in the South, they love being a part of the band. This is why a lot of children in the South grow up playing instruments. A lot of them were in the band. A lot of them were in choir. You see? And then you put your child into something and you don't even understand what really comes with this stuff. You think it's just this when it's really that. And it's our job as parents to go the extra mile nowadays. See, listen, y'all. Back in the day, our parents went the extra mile. I'm gonna say for the past 20 years, we've had a lot of parents that just been slacking off. From the year 2000 to 2025. Parenting is at an all-time low. When we was growing up, our parents checked our homework. They would, if they didn't check our homework, they would at least ask. And if we lied, they didn't know we lied. But now, I see a lot of parents, they don't even ask their children, do they got homework? First thing they children do soon as they come home from school, watch TV. Don't ask about no homework. Don't ask them about school. Don't ask them about what happened in school. See, it's not just about the schoolwork. What happened in school? See, we understand that the schoolhouse is so crazy today that we have to ask our children what happened in school today. Because your child can leave your house happy and jolly and come back home traumatized. Because your son or your daughter could have saw somebody get stabbed in school today. They could have saw somebody get unalived in school. So it's our job as parents, we got to go the extra mile. Like our parents did, like our grandparents did. Let me see your homework. Oh, you did your homework? Let me see it. Go get it. That's how I used to get caught lying. New York Nikki says, and I check mine. I'm on them. We have to be. How you doing, Scorpio? You good? That's how I used to get caught lying. I'd be like, oh, I did my homework. Oh, you did? Okay. This is how I used to get caught. Oh, you did? All right. Before I go to bed, son, go get your homework. Let me see it. Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared because I know I ain't do my homework. You see? We're not checking into stuff. Oh, mom, dad, I want to be in a fraternity. What's a fraternity? What's that? Oh, it's just oh no, I need more information. We have to get back to that. Parents done got too loose. Let me put the tip in. Parents done got too loose. Parents don't use strategy on their children no more. Yeah, see, I got off a lot of times. So did I. And how did we usually get off, bro? How did we usually get off? Because we knew our parents was tired, coming home from work. Oh, you did your homework? Yeah, all right. Go take a bath. Get ready for dinner. That's how I got off a lot of times too. I used to do my homework at breakfast. Who remember that? Who remember elementary school when you went in the lunchroom and did your homework in the lunchroom at breakfast? That was me. That was me. Because my mom was the type, I bet she better not get a letter home from school. So I'm going to do my homework, but I'm going to do my homework in school. At breakfast. Because see, my moms used to get me to school for breakfast so I could eat breakfast and she go to work. You see, this is when I ain't get on a school bus. I went to school in New York. We walked to school. See? Now, parents is too loose, man. We're not checking into these fraternities. What is this stuff about? What is the mortality rate in these fraternities? Do people die? Do people lose their life? We're not looking into this stuff. And we got to remember, we exposing our children to it. See, back in the day, they would throw us into this type of stuff to give us stuff to do. This is why I brought this up at the beginning of the show. Hey, Taylor, how you doing? What up, JB? Hey, Celine. She says, I did my homework in school before I get home. See, that not me. Not me, Celine. I'm doing my homework at breakfast. That's when I do my homework at breakfast. Right before I go to school. Because after breakfast, You got to go to the gym to line up. This elementary school days. You go in the gym and you line up before you go to class. You line up in the gym and then your teacher come and then y'all go to class. See, I did my homework at breakfast time. Because I know my teacher going to say, take your homeworks out, checking homework check. You see? This is not going on anymore. And we got to take this stuff much more serious, man. Because this brother just told us that people from Omega Psi Phi have been dying since the 1970s. Those types of things needs to be considered. We have to pay attention to that type of stuff. So let's get back into it. Again, fair use, YouTube. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Shout out to Cam Jones for this great video. Let's get back into it.
My name's Cam James. I was abused by an undergraduate chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I participated in abusing others in 2 separate semesters after I was initiated.
Wow.
I recently watched Hazing, a brilliant documentary produced by Byron Hurt of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated that explores hazing in all types of organizations: fraternities, sororities, bands, sports, the military, etc. I'd already planned to make this video after Caleb's death, but watching that film made it clear that there was a way for me to contribute something unique to the story. Byron's film mostly covers it in a way that impacts members of Greek organizations and parents of students. What I'm presenting here is the through line from arriving on campus as a freshman to getting abused as a sophomore. I'd argue it's necessary for people on the outside looking in to walk through it themselves and see how this happens to people. I recently spoke to my girlfriend's older brother about this, and he pointed out that everyone gets got in life. We all get scammed, tricked, or manipulated, and our primary responsibility, once we realize it, is to decide what to do next. I also interviewed an unofficial member of my chapter called a ghost. That basically means a person who was hazed and didn't even get their letters officially. We're not supposed to talk about this. We're all sworn to secrecy as part of the pledging process, so this is inherently dangerous. When I say dangerous, I mean it's likely that I'll be ostracized by my chapter and their extended network. I called my line brothers to tell them I was doing this, so I wouldn't put them in a compromising position, but I'll probably be harassed and insulted in the comment section of this video. And yes, I'm very aware that all of the above is highly reminiscent of cult tactics. That isn't a coincidence. Here's my assertions. None of the Divine Nine fraternities or sororities were founded with violence built into their initiation guidelines. All of them have either murdered and or seriously injured pledges via abuse inflicted by chapter members.
Wow.
These practices don't have the intended effect, are rooted in cult tactics and America's legacy of slavery, and do more to ostracize and damage members than anything else. Quick definitions and notes. The Divine Nine, or D9, stands for the 9 Black Greek letter organizations founded on college campuses in the 20th century. Those 9 are on screen right now. They're also referred to as NPHC organizations, which stands for the National Pan-Hellenic Council. Definitions and notes. The Divine Nine, or D9, stands for the 9 Black Greek letter organizations founded on college campuses in the 20th century. Those 9 are on screen right now. They're also referred to as NPHC organizations, which stands for the National Pan-Hellenic Council. 5 of them were founded at HBCUs, with 4 of those all being Howard University. But the first one was founded at Cornell University as a solidarity group for 7 Black students. Regardless of location, these organizations were created to serve their communities and help keep their members safe from the oppressive academic atmosphere that surrounded them. I'll only be presenting one story of abuse for every member organization in the MPHC, but know that many of them have murdered multiple people, sometimes simultaneously. One of them has critically injured or killed people into the double digits since their founding. Regardless of the death toll assigned to each logo, all of them have hundreds of serious injuries to account for at the very least. Kristen High, 22 years old, and Kenitha Saphir, 24 years old, drowned September 9th, 2002 at Dockweiler State Beach near Playa del Rey in California, while participating in a pledging ritual allegedly conducted by unsanctioned members of an unidentified chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. The sorority's chapter at Cal State LA had been suspended for hazing at the time, apparently. Both women were students at Cal State in LA, and although their deaths were initially ruled accidental, a private investigation by PI Robert Freeman revealed that they were blindfolded and tied by their hands and their bodies and led into the riptide conditions of the ocean, the family's lawsuit says. That night, the waves were cresting at 6 to 8 feet and creating a strong undercurrent resulting from riptide. Saphir reportedly claimed she couldn't swim, but was forced to proceed regardless. After a large wave pulled her under, High died in an effort to rescue her.
This peels off the Band-Aid of an unhealed wound.
According to the LAPD, the bodies of Kristen High and 24-year-old Kenitha Saphir of Compton were pulled from the surf around midnight.
According to her mother, Patricia, Kristen was always a type A daughter. Super student, athlete, campus leader, mother of a 2-year-old son. Joining Alpha Kappa Alpha was something she had always wanted. When 2 young women brought Kristen's car home, Patricia said Kristen's pledge journal was missing and numbers had been deleted from her cell phone. Kenitha's college sweetheart and husband of about 1.5 years shared this photo of her diary next to a pic of her in the car. In this note, she confirms that pursuing AKA membership was a dream of hers. This was the most recent deadly incident we know of in Alpha Kappa Alpha. Witnesses say they wore matching black sweatsuits, socks, and tennis shoes. This is exactly what we wore every night when I pledged Alpha. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Let's talk about what made me join in the first place. So I enrolled in this pre-college program at Georgia Tech called Challenge. It had us rooming with about 30 to 40 other minority students the summer before our freshman year. So when the year started, we were really well situated and prepared to succeed. I actually stayed with one of my eventual chapter brothers my very first time visiting the campus, which was a coincidence, but ended up being an influential factor. The D9 was not something I was aware of since I was a military kid with no members in my family. At least that's what I thought. Turns out my aunt pledged Delta, but she never talked about it. I was an avid basketball player and regularly ran pickup games at the campus rec center. It just so happens that most of the people I ended up making friends with in those games were members of either Kappa Alpha Psi or Alpha Phi Alpha. One of the Kappas pulled me to the side and discreetly invited me to an interest meeting. And I was gonna go. I didn't know anything about how taboo it is to go to multiple meetings for different organizations until I heard it from my fellow freshmen. This ain't like an informational meeting for the chess club. Your attendance means a serious interest. This was the first time a D9 organization left crucial information out of chapter communications, and it wouldn't be the last. I got the same invite from the Alphas around that time and had to make a decision. It was an opportunity to get more info about a campus organization that hosted dope events, did community service, had a legendary legacy full of civil rights leaders and other prominent Black figures, and would give me additional opportunities to make the most of this steep ass tuition. Not saying
Now, did y'all hear that? It's very important that we just pay attention to what he said, because that is the reason for a lot of people wanting to join. The actual prestige that comes from being a part of these organizations. As he said, prominent Black figures and prominent Black leaders were in these fraternities. They were a part of these organizations. So how much of a flex would it be to say, I'm a part of the same chapter as Martin Luther King? Yeah, I was down with the same people who rock with W.E.B. Du Bois. You see? And this is what attracts people to these organizations from young. Rest in peace to those two young ladies. As y'all can see, she wrote in her diary, she wanted to be an AKA her whole life. She wanted to be an AKA. And look at what they did to her. They unalived her. They took her life. You see? But let's continue. Let's get back to Cam Jones.
and those things didn't apply to the Kappas as well.
House Democratic Caucus Chair Hakeem Jeffries joined Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity at the age of 18.
But the Alpha.
You see that? Hakeem Jeffries. So, fraternity. You see? Let's continue.
Alpha brothers on that campus were most like me. I saw myself in them. Everyone's seeking something unique from their pursuit of membership in the D9. Cults, the military, religious groups, etc. They're following the legacy of their parents or extended family, pursuing the elevated social status brought by membership, seeking a sense of community, or a combination of the three. My family isn't the closest, and although I had plenty of friends, I grew accustomed to moving a lot and leaving my closest friends as a military kid. I wanted the sense of belonging and camaraderie that I saw in the chapter brothers. I was discussing this with my girlfriend and others as I wrote this, and the through line from slavery came up. Just like chattel slavery in the US, the D9 is a uniquely African-American phenomenon. The way American Black people were torn from our home continent, had our names erased, religion replaced, community destroyed, and family members sold off was a significant contributing factor to the establishment of these groups. If you're struggling to put yourself in the shoes of a person who chooses to pursue membership, I'd say that everyone's different and everyone has a different void to fill. There's a lot of people watching this who made it to one of these, but didn't go any further. To keep it short, interest meetings happen in some room on or off campus with one or more members of the chapter. You typically know most of the people in the room because you've seen them at campus events. You're expected to dress up in business formal clothes, and you're given a presentation about the chapter and what it means to be a member. This is followed by the steps you need to take to officially indicate interest in chapter membership. My first interest meeting was pretty short and had way more people in it than the second one. I later realized that the first meeting was so crowded because whoever's currently pledging has to attend one of these in order to join the fraternity on the national level. Some of us have literally never seen these people at the time, and sometimes that line gets dropped by the time you attend your next interest meeting, so they're just gone. The only people at my second interest meeting were the 4 19-year-olds who ended up becoming my line brothers, and another person that ended up deciding not to proceed before we became a line officially. All 4 that ended up being on the line were already friends of mine. At this stage, I essentially committed to becoming an alpha without being informed that we would be subjected to physical abuse. This is the second time information was withheld from us. On February 15th, 1994, Michael Davis and 4 other individuals were being initiated as brothers to the Southeast Missouri State Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Davis and the other young men were slapped on their necks and backs, caned on their buttocks and feet, and beaten with heavy books and cookie sheets.
You pledged in Spring 89. Spring 89 lasted the divine. Did you go through the old school way of pledging at that time, or did they switch it around?
I went through the old school way, bro. This was at a period where, of course, they were cracking downs on hazing and things like that. And of course, Kappa Alpha Psi is a non-hazing fraternity. I got the respect and the notoriety with the brothers that were brought in an old school way. And I'm not saying it's always the best way. And I'm not saying that there aren't unhealthy things that every organization probably does traditionally that should not be done. But I was brought in before a lot of the crackdowns and everything happened with trying to make organizations more safer to enter. My entry into Kappa Alpha Psi was not safe. Can I say it that way?
Are you serious that Kim Fields was a Kappa sweetheart?
Yes, sir.
What did her brother pledge before you or after you?
Her brother pledged before me and pledged me.
Wow, what type of big brother was he?
He was not kind.
Y'all see how it's all connected? Didn't I tell y'all all this stuff is connected? See, listen, y'all. Over here, I don't like to do topics for topic's sake. If y'all pay attention to how we do our topics over here, how the content is rolled out over here, everything lines up. If you listen to every show, if you go back and you listen, you'll see how every show is interconnected, it's interwoven. Because the only way to truly understand something is to see it 360, to see it in 360 degrees. So you got to see it from every aspect. You have to see how this stuff is interconnected to everything else. See, if you don't know how to connect things, you'll never truly understand the intentions for them, and you'll never understand the consequences that come with those things because you don't know how it's all connected. Shout out to Javon Freeman. Javon says, that's what makes this show a standout. Shout out to you, Javon. Salute. Now, who did we just see on the screen saying he pledged Divine Nine? And his pledging was not nice, meaning he was hazed. Montel Jordan. Montel Jordan went on to become a what? A R&B artist. He became an entertainer. But he also was Divine Nine. Didn't I tell y'all all this stuff is connected, y'all? The Diddy parties, the hazing, the baby oil, the spiking of the drinks. All this stuff started in college. This stuff happened in college parties. Girls getting their drinks spiked. She wake up, don't even know what happened to her. Next thing you know, they had her on camera. Y'all not paying attention? Y'all not paying attention? Right. He brought up Kim Fields. Kim Fields' brother was the one who pledged him. Meaning Kim Fields' brother is the same guy who hazed him. See this? She went on to become a what? An actress, Kim Fields. See how it's all connected? What's up, Angie Baby? Shout out to Miss Angie Baby in the building. Good evening to you. Appreciate your pull up. Shout out to my man Bob. Appreciate the super chat, Bob. He says, tell the truth. I told you part of my story. I won't tell it fully, but I'll say that even when you cross, it doesn't mean you're respected. Shout out to my brother Bob. And definitely, bro. And being that you told me some of your story in private, I'll never repeat it in public. But definitely, bro. And I appreciate you sharing that with me, because it also gave me confirmation of a lot of stuff I found out later on, and a lot of things that I thought was going on as well. So shout out to my man Bob. Appreciate you, fam. I appreciate that. So let's get back into it. Fair use, fair use, fair use. What's good, Dorillas? Let's get back into it. Make sure y'all support the show as well, man. Support the show. The super chat is open. Make sure y'all hit that like button. If you in here, make sure you hit the like button, y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Diddy went to an old boys Catholic school. I'm sure they were cutting up a lot. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dark Star Plumbing says, I went to Grambling in the 1990s to the 2000s. I lived in Martha Adams dormitory. Some of your so-called best and brightest are full-on reprobates. Wow. Shout out to Dark Star Plumbing. Appreciate that, fam. I appreciate you sharing that, man. Appreciate y'all sharing that. Thank y'all so much. Shout out to everyone that's supporting the show. Let's get back into it.
He was not kind. I got introduced to a phone book by her brother because I forgot to call him.
So he got beat with a phone book, Montel Jordan. We just heard him say he got beat with a phone book because he forgot to call Kim Fields' brother. So he ended up beating him with a phone book.
Active fraternity members kicked, punched, and body slammed the 5 pledges. By the final day of the initiation process, 2 of the 5 dropped out, and the remaining 3 were put through a 7-station circuit of physical abuse. Davis passed out and later died from a number of injuries, including fractured ribs, lung, liver, and kidney damage, a bruised and bleeding heart, and spinal hemorrhaging. Michael's mother, Edith, said her son was a kind soul who couldn't kill a spider, and that his death was cold-blooded murder. The most recent death, allegedly but reliably connected to Kappa Alpha Psi, occurred in 2019 when pledge Marlon Jackson Jr. died in a car accident. It was alleged that his exhaustion was due to pledging, and that these were members of the fraternity in the car. What fraternity did you pledge and what year?
I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I crossed in 2013, fall in particular.
Okay. Are you a registered member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated?
I am not.
Why is that the case?
Because of the very topic that we're talking about. There were allegations of our chapter hazing at the time that ballooned into a larger situation. That situation ballooned into an investigation from the fraternity. We went through that. At that time, we were offline because the chapter wanted everything to blow over and make sure that everything was fine. That investigation came back with nothing against the chapter. However, the fraternity does not operate in innocent until proven guilty. They operate in a more likely than not. And if we had to do it, well, someone's got to take it. So They couldn't bring anything against the chapter at the time, so they instead placed me and my line brothers on the do not initiate list.
So you're not online as soon as you agree to pursue membership. There's an in-between process called pre-pledging. Chapters vary, but people occasionally give you a demeaning name, like the Crabs from Drumline during this part. Some just call you a pre-pledge and leave it at that. We were referred to as Sphinxmen, which was a nod to the Egyptian mythology the fraternity is tied to. Most of what we did during this phase was studying historical information, memorizing facts about our fellow pledges, practicing standing in line, passing information down that line, and basic teamwork exercises. The whole point of the process is supposed to be reinforcing the ideas of selflessness and sacrificing your ego for the good of the chapter. In my 19-year-old brain, everything made sense so far. You got to get rid of all that pride if you're going to serve your community and organization effectively, right? As an extension of that concept, we had to dress identically, commute to these meetings together, and maintain individual matching binders with chapter information in them. We were also required to call older members of the chapter who lived in the area, and we visited some of them too. We even helped one of them move, which seemed like a brotherhood building activity to me at the time, as opposed to indentured servitude. At least we got pizza. This next part is another area where chapters differ. Our Dean of Pledges, the person in charge of our pledging process, was big on Georgia Tech history. So we learned it in addition to Alpha history and Egyptian history. As we got closer to the official.
Now, pay attention, y'all. Pay attention. What up, world class? See you in the building. Salute. Salute the world class. Shout out to my man. What's good, L. Nixon? Shout out to you, fam. He says salute, fam, in chat. Appreciate that super chat, bro. Shout out to something to think about with L. Nixon, man. Salute, salute. Notice what he just said. He said they had to learn Egyptian information. Now, watch how I make the connection. What was the conscious community, Sinetta TV, and all those guys up in Harlem? What was their ideology? Egyptology. 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 You see? That's what Sinetta and them was promoting. Egyptology. The original blacks are from Egypt. Teaching us all this divine nine stuff. This is why you had Masons that was in the conscious community. They all were divine nine. See? See how this stuff is connected? You see how this stuff is connected? World class says absolutely, because what else did the Greeks know? Exactly. They got it from the Egyptians. If you look at everything that's Greco-Roman, they literally is a carbon copy of the Egyptian, of all of Egypt's empires. The breakdown of dynasties, all of that stuff, they got it from Egypt, Greece, and Rome. Now, the question is why is these Black American men being taught that they're Egyptian? You see? Why are they being taught this? Because they're being groomed mentally. See? Because if you do what? If you kill the head, the body goes. So they have to psychologically indoctrinate you. You see? They have to psychologically indoctrinate you with this type of information. So when they begin to physically do things to you, you really don't question why these things are happening. Pay attention, y'all. Right. Greece. Shout out to Perfectly Imperfect. Yes. World Class has a lot of the quote unquote Black Freemasons and Rosicrucians is in the conscious community. Absolutely. 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 So you see how all of this stuff is connected? Yes, Masons and Eastern Stars. Absolutely, Dark Star. See how all this stuff is connected? Look how all this stuff has been around us the whole time. We ain't even been paying attention to it. How many of us was part of the conscious community? Me. How many of us was listening to Brother Polite? Me. Minister Inky? Me. Where you think you get all this vegan stuff from? Where you think vegans and organic food and that stuff came from the conscious community? Remember? See, a lot of y'all don't even know where y'all got this stuff from. Y'all got it from these same people we learning about right now. These people who were either part of Divine Nine organizations or people who were connected to people who were Divine Nine. You see? Malachi Z. York, Mason. See, he wasn't just a Nuwapian. He wasn't just down with the Nation of Islam. He was a Mason. He was a Mason. And once you become a Mason, you can practice the three main religions. And you also can create your own as well. You know, like Dianetics, but that's a whole nother thing. Let's get back to it. Right, Nature Boy. Nature Boy.
Start of our pledging process, it became more obvious that reciting this information with military precision and accuracy was not only expected, but required. That was when the psychological abuse started. If we got something wrong while reciting information, our intelligence or ability to follow clear instructions was insulted in a way that would embarrass you in front of the rest of the pledges, while also making you want to prove yourself next time. They also explained the rules to us. Pre-pledging was when we started to withdraw from most friends and campus activities, stopped attending any non-essential meetings, and adopted chapter superstitions like not walking on grass or not using elevators since they represented shortcuts. I later realized that these restrictions were directly out of the cult playbook. If you eliminate someone's ties to outside influences, it's easier to put them through hell. None of this was physical abuse.
Now, notice what he just said. What they do is they ostracize you. No, excuse me. They don't ostracize you. What they get you to do is they get you to what's the word I'm looking for? They get you to remove yourself from the regular social activities. So you become recluse. You see? You begin to isolate. That's the word I'm looking for. You begin to isolate yourself. This is part of the brainwashing and the psychological hazing. They get you to isolate yourself. Because when they get you to isolate yourself, this is how they're able to get away with abuse and with nobody ever knowing. This is why they tell you get rid of all your friends. Get rid of all the people out of your life that you used to know as the person you originally was. You'll now have a new set of friends. You'll have a new set of friends. You don't go to certain places anymore. They isolate you. Because this is how the indoctrination works. Look at what Malachi Z. York did with the Nuwapians. This stuff was in their doctrine. Isolation. Look at what Polite did to his wives. He isolated them. So the indoctrination works. Because who you're gonna run to when all you know is me? Look at Malachi York and what he did. Them women was stuck. They were stuck. They couldn't go nowhere. They couldn't escape. Because the life that they once knew has been snatched from them. But they don't know that this is what's happening. They actually think that they're removing these people, places, and things because that's what's best for them. See, this is how this stuff is presented, y'all. It's presented as you're doing what's best for you and your community. So this is why you don't hang out with these people no more. This is why you don't go to these places no more. And what this also does is it creates a superiority complex. This is why you notice a lot of people who's Divine Nine, they walk around with their nose in the air. You can't tell them nothing. It's from the psychological indoctrination. Because you start believing that you're becoming something in life. This is what they make you believe, y'all. Javon says it's even more wild when you watch the people you warned about what happens go on and join and end up resenting themselves. Sad, but almost poetic in a way. Absolutely, Javon. Absolutely. Absolutely. Po Boy says SA happens a lot too. Both male and female pledges are vulnerable to it. Wow. World Class says exactly why I always give people my sources and connections directly and don't charge for consultations to separate myself from those federal agents. Right. I agree with that, bro. I agree. Cynical says, I think Shaq is part of, yes, Shaq is Divine Nine. Shaq is a Shaq is Q Dog. Shaq is a Q Dog. And listen, y'all, to anybody that's listening right now, this show is not to bash anyone. It's not to make you feel bad of any choices you've made in life or anything of that nature. These shows that I do is about informing the people about the evil that's around us. I'm not here to make you feel bad about your decisions. That's male or female, fraternity or sorority. If you listening, I'm not here to make you feel bad because you joined. I'm just here to point out to the people what to look out for. Because there's people who still uninformed about what goes on. And then they put their children in there, and then their son end up like Caleb Wilson, or their daughter end up like those two young ladies and end up drowned in a river somewhere. That's what this platform is about. That's why it's called Sheep Stay Sleep TV. It's for people who willingly want to stay ignorant. Willingly. Because you're going to get the information here. So it's not about telling you what you was wrong for doing. I'm not here for that. I'm not your judge. God is. You're going to have to pay for any this. You're going to have to speak to him. You won't owe me no explanation. So I'm not here to do that. So let me make that clear. But as y'all heard, that young lady wrote in her diary, she wanted to be in a sorority her whole life since she was a little girl. All she dreamt about was becoming an AKA. And them people took her life. And her pledge homegirl died trying to save her. This is why we have to do these types of shows. This is why we need to have these types of conversations. She told her team lead she couldn't swim. They walked her in the water anyway. And then the other girl died trying to save the other girl. And we don't need to talk about this? It's some of us in the chat room right now that are parents of high schoolers, parents of children who are sophomores, juniors, seniors in high school. It's some of us in the chat right now that got some children graduating this year from high school, getting ready to go to college. We got some people in the chat that are grandparents, their grandson or their granddaughter getting ready to graduate high school. They need to know about this stuff. They need to know what they sending their grandchild off into. All this for social acceptance? All of this for social acceptance? Come on, man. Come on. Taylor says, them AKAs are ran through. Just but that also proves, right, that there's things going on in the AKA sorority organization. And we do know, and y'all can Google this and look this up, that the AKAs in multiple colleges, multiple universities have been busted for running sex rings, where they had these young AKA girls out prostituting themselves. Y'all can look this stuff up. There was prostitution rings being ran within the AKA organization on multiple university campuses, where girls was being signing up, becoming AKAs and becoming prostitutes out in the street while in college, prostituting on a college campus, sleeping with teachers for money, all this type of stuff. Y'all can look this stuff up if y'all think I'm exaggerating. Y'all know how I do over here. And I don't mind coming back and saying I was wrong. Y'all can look this stuff up. All it takes is a Google search. Shout out to my man T Church. What up, T Church? What's good, bro? Yeah, Miss Angie. Absolutely, Miss Angie. Absolutely. Y'all can look this stuff up. That's why Taylor said that them AKAs are ran through. That's why she said that. Because she knows this stuff. She knows. World Class says that's why it'd be easy for them to be strippers. Absolutely. And call girls and escorts. Absolutely, World Class. Because what happens to them in the sorority? And it's not just the AKAs. It's not just the AKAs. The AKAs are the most famous for becoming strippers and call girls and all of that stuff out of the sororities. They're the ones, a lot of those women, but it's not just the AKAs. It's not just them. They strip at school for a fee, right? And to get through school too. ASU has a charter. I used to party with them, and child, oh God. And you used to party with them. But we know, Taylor, you went home. You went home. You didn't stay for the Cassie party. we ain't gonna say the Diddy party. You didn't stay for the Cassie party. So after a certain time, Taylor went home, y'all. You know, once it hit 11:59, Taylor went home. Taylor didn't stay for when the freaky stuff come out. She left. She didn't stay at the Cassie party. She didn't stay for when it gets dark at the Cassie party. She left. She left, y'all. Taylor left. She left. World Class says a lot of the chicks I know that stripped and went to school pledged. Absolutely. 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 And a lot of them AKA girls, they run drugs too. A lot of them have drug dealer boyfriends. I know a couple of girls personally. When they was in school, they was dating big time drug dealers and they was running for them. And that's how a lot of them got their tuition paid too. Yep. I wasn't about that life. Oh, I know, Taylor. I know you're not about that life. I know. You're not built like that. Shonda says, as AKA, I never did nor will. Oh, so you was an AKA. You're AKA, Shonda? Wow. She says, as an AKA, I never did nor will prostitute myself for any sorority or organization. Again, all organizations or chapters do not the same stuff. Okay. Shout out to you, Shonda. Wow, I didn't know you was an AKA. And I believe you'll never do that type of stuff. I can just tell by how you speak that that's not even in your character. Same thing with Taylor. I could tell. I could tell by a woman's attitude, the type of stuff, you know, the type of timing she'll be on. Dark Star Plumbing said, nah, don't say that, Dark Star Plumbing. Nah, don't say that. Shonda good people's, Dark Star. She good people's, man. We gonna take her word for it in here. World Class says they be pretty girls looking innocent, but be Diddy Etta at night. A lot of the AKAs are very easy on the eye. Very easy on the eye. Yes. The AKAs are very easy. A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are very easy on the eye. A lot of them. They be on hella drugs. It's sad to see a 21-year-old on dope, bruh. And where you from, bro? I know you see it a lot. Cause the region you're in, it's a lot of colleges and a lot of them college girls. And so I know what you mean, bro. I know what you mean. Yeah, she good people, bro. She good peoples, bro. Facts, Zuma. Facts, man. Let's get back to the brother, man. Shout out to Cam Jones. I appreciate this breakdown, man. Let's get back to it.
All that changed when the chapter brothers decided that we were ready for the next step. Were you subjected to hazing?
That's such an interesting question. The black and white of it is yes, but I guess we're diving right into my thoughts. I think that there's a difference between hazing and pledging, I will say. To me, hazing is obviously the definition of it is doing something that puts people in harm's way. intentionally. But I also think it's doing something that serves no purpose. I think for me, I pledged. I wasn't hazed. I think, at least from my understanding and everything that I have experienced thus far, everything that I did served a purpose in the process, like in those moments.
We were given a final opportunity to leave before the abuse became physical. We were sitting down in a row after a night of reciting information, and they showed us the segment from Spike Lee's School Days that depicted frat pledges sleeping, being surprised, being verbally harassed, physically abused, and paddled by Breaking Bad's Gustavo Fring and Ron from a Different World, among others. They demonstrated some of this violence on other chapter members, then left it up to us to decide whether or not we wanted to proceed. None of the 5 eventual members of the line moved. And I'll speak for myself when I say the reason for that was a twisted sense of loyalty to my line brothers, combined with a desire to prove that I'm tough enough. It didn't help that the movie scene was exaggerated and goofy, so it didn't seem realistic or shocking to me. Here's a more accurate depiction of what it's like today.
Eat that shit. You want to be a lander, huh? Don't quit. Stop moving, shit. Don't touch my hand. You want to be a lander, huh? You blocking me?
I am the Dean of Pledges. This is my line, and every bruise above the neck leads to suspicion.
You want me to rip that fucking brain off your chest? Get the fuck out of my way. Get back in line.
We were not given a real choice here, to be clear. The fact that we were in the room with our fellow pledges and the chapter brothers were staring at us makes it extremely coercive. We went through our first rotation of physical abuse not long after. The 6th potential member of the line that I mentioned earlier wasn't there for that and had dropped out before our first official night online. The details get fuzzy around the timeline, but I remember everything about the first night. It was the worst night of my life. Up until that point in the process, we were at an off-campus house in Atlanta, and every night had been over at a relatively reasonable time. I don't think I have to tell y'all that it was normal to be up super late.
Now, I had to stop this for a second, right? Notice where this stuff is taking place at. He's in Atlanta. Atlanta. What is Atlanta known in the entertainment industry, y'all? Yeah, hey, Bob, that was disturbing, bro. That was disturbing. That was disturbing. Be honest. What is Atlanta called in the entertainment world? Look how all this stuff is connected. What do they call Atlanta? Hey, LA Project, how you doing? Shout out to the LA Project. Put it in the chat if y'all remember what they call Atlanta. What is Atlanta called? Girl boys. Gay heaven. Yes, Black Hollywood. Right, Zuma. Black Hollywood. Absolutely, New York Nikki. Black Hollywood. Black Hollywood. Look at the stuff that's going on in Black Hollywood. Why are those same things that are going on in these sororities, that are going on in these fraternities, that is going on in these HBCUs, why are these same things happening in Hollywood? Y'all don't see the connection? The same things that happens in the entertainment business is happening to people on a collegiate level. So maybe we should start asking ourselves, was Diddy trained to be who he was? And I'm not just saying from his mom, because we did that show when we spoke on how Diddy became the deviant he has become. But one thing we skipped in that show, because we were specifically talking about his childhood, we didn't get into Diddy's college years. We didn't get into Diddy's college years because that's when he pledged. This is the makings of the diddler. Some of the hazing techniques that he used on his artists, he was using when he was in a fraternity. Y'all don't see the connections? Y'all not making the connection? Well, I'm gonna do it for y'all. This is why he treated Making the Band the way he treated them. This is why he treated Danity Kane the way he treated them. Day 26, he was hazing them. He was hazing them. How do we know that Diddy wasn't a high-ranking person on his line? See, none of that stuff came out. We don't know who Diddy was in his fraternity. We don't know who Diddy was. Diddy could have been the diddler back then, Classy Creole. Who knows what he did to them people that was under him in his fraternity? What if we find out that Diddy was a high-ranking person in his chapter? What if we find that out? What if we find that out? Because guess what we did find out? We did find out that one of his frat brothers, he took with him into the industry. His name's Harv Pierre. His name's Harv. You know him, you know Harv and Sean, him and Diddy were frat brothers. They were together. Did you know that? He literally met Harv Pierre at Howard University. How did Harv end up with him 20 years later? Y'all not paying attention? Y'all not paying attention, huh? Diddy got GHB'd up in college and he went on a rampage. Come on, Zuma. We still haven't heard about Diddy in his college years. What type of monster he was in the fraternity as a frat brother. Diddy probably was a beast. Diddy probably was a beast. He was just as diabolical as he is now, probably. We don't know. Cynical gave us some background. Sin says, Sean Diddy Combs graduated from Mount Saint Michael. Mount St. Michael Academy in 1987. It's an all boys, just like those Egyptian dynasties, all boys, the boys. Catholic school in the Bronx, New York. He also played football for the school. Yep. And he also was a wrestler. He also was a wrestler too, Sin. Shonda says, I don't know how this false rumor about Diddy being a Kappa came about. He was never a member of Kappa Psi Alpha Psi, and Kappa doesn't do honorary memberships. Wow. So based on what Shonda is saying, she's saying that that's a rumor. That he's not a Kappa. Wow, I didn't know that, Shonda. I'm gonna look into it some more. But that is something that has been said about Diddy for a long time. And that can be a common falsehood, you know. But if I'm not mistaken too, Shonda, Gene Deal also said that Puff is in a fraternity. Gene Deal said it as well. Them altar boys are wild. And I know this personally, Taylor, because one of my best friends growing up, he was a church boy. And he's a wild boy. Shout out to bro. He's a wild boy. And he's a church boy. They said he was an altar boy. I love researching symbology. Yes. But yeah, I'm gonna look into that, Shonda, because that is a popular thing. And it's been going around for a long time. Hey, Miss Camille, good to see you, love. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Another one of my lovely lady mods in the building today. Happy Saturday to you. I appreciate you pulling up. Zuma says he dropped out after his second year at Howard. Shonda says no, there were not. Harv Pierre and Diddy met at Howard. Harvey pledged. Diddy never did. Oh, okay. All those years, Kappa never claimed Diddy. Before all of this stuff came out, lets me know he's not a member. Wow. So that's why they always say that they both was Kappas, because he always was around Harv. So Harv was his connection then. Because here's another funny part about that, Shonda. A lot of us always thought Diddy pledged as well, because how was he able to throw those college parties? How was he able to throw those college parties? Unless Harv was his connection. If he never pledged himself, then Harv must have been his connection to him being able to have those college parties. That makes sense too, Shonda. That makes sense too. But now it makes sense why people always said they both were Kappas, because Harvey was a Kappa. So that's how they were able to have those college parties, because of Harvey. That makes sense. World Class says he was just participating in the freak-offs without pledging. That's questionable too. That stuff is questionable too. But it's man, Shonda, you got me thinking right now. Okay, Shonda says, I believe Puffy may be a Mason and or Boule. I never believed he was a Kappa. Okay. Got you. I got you, sis. I got you. But now it makes sense why they always said Diddy was a Kappa. It's because his best friend, Harv, was his best friend. Harv Pierre was his best friend. And that's why I guess, because like I said, even Gene Deal said that Diddy was a fraternity. But that doesn't mean it was true. What up, GQ? Shout out to my guy GQ in the building. Salute, family. Dark Star says this proves my position about association equals participation. Absolutely. Now I'm understanding where that saying comes from. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Because if I know someone and this is my best friend and he got pulled in certain areas, I can still get stuff done. I can still get through certain doors and meet certain people and rub certain shoulders and shake certain hands. So it still makes sense. That makes sense, Dark Star. GQ says Diddy was a Kappa. Hey. Shonda says, as accomplished as Diddy was, ain't no way D9 not claiming him at any point if he wasn't a member. That's a good point, Shonda. Well, let me ask you this, Shonda. Let me ask you this now, because I said this on the show before too. I'm not sure if you was here on that show, but I also said that Usher was a Kappa. Is that true? Is D9 claiming Usher? Because you do know the Super Bowl before last that was in Vegas, all of those people that was up there performing with Usher was Kappas. That came out later on. That was a whole Kappa performance. So is Usher, are they claiming Usher? Or is he just associated as well? And if he's associated with them, it has to be because his connection to Diddy and because of Diddy's connection to Harv. You know, if they not D9, because what you're saying makes sense. Why wouldn't they claim Diddy? Why wouldn't they? But Diddy's a different type of beast. So I don't think we'll ever fully know. Darkstar says, bingo, birds of a feather flock together, so ain't no way. Come on, Darkstar. Come on, Darkstar. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's not what this show is about, Darkstar. That's not what this is about, man. That's not what this is about, man. This is about making us aware of things so we can warn our people, and particularly our children and the younger people in our family, what to look out for. You know, and Shonda, she's solid. She's always come through and give me information. She always put me up on game. So that's why I don't really question what she's saying. All I could do is just go back into and look into more stuff. But she's solid, bro. Yeah, she's solid, man. She's solid, man. Thank you, Cynical. Thank you. I'm glad you deleted that comment. Shonda's solid, man. And she always come in here and keep it real. Because let's be honest, Darkstar. Let's be honest. She didn't have to come in here and tell us that she was in a sorority. So we come on, man. That's not what we doing, man. That's not what we doing. It's not what we doing. Yup, I knew people in certain circles that allowed me access, but I never crossed. It's about who you know, not what you know. Hey, I found that out later on, man. And just to put it out there, I was offered to join multiple times. You know? I was offered to join twice. I was offered to join twice. Yeah. And honestly, I never joined because the first time I was offered, right, I was still at a point in my life where I was still on some, my friends that I'm outside with is my brothers. You know, like I looked at my homies as my brothers. That was my brotherhood. So the first time when I was offered, I just turned it down and ignored it because I'm like, a brotherhood. I already got a brotherhood. Me and my homies that's on the block. These my brothers. I'm not leaving my brothers that I grew up with, that I'm outside with every day, that I'ma see as soon as I get back to the block. I'm not leaving them to go join. That's how I was thinking at that time. I wasn't even really into the stuff that was behind all of that stuff, But as time went on, I started to look at it differently. And I started to understand, why I was even offered. Because I'm the type of guy, I never separated myself from my friends. And maybe that was a bad thing earlier on in my life. Maybe that was a bad thing. I never saw myself as being too different from my friends. I never looked at myself as being better than them, being smarter than them, or being on a different level than they were. And I'm not gonna lie, now that I'm older, I don't feel bad admitting that people used to tell me, like, yo, you don't need to be around them. You don't need to be around them. You're better than them. Like, people would literally tell me this. You're better than them. You're smarter than them. They're not on your level. And I never believed it. I it's just not in me. I'm not that type of person. And I'm not saying that because I don't think that those people believe that about me. It's just that I don't look down on people. So I never truly valued my intelligence, just the type of person that I was. I never really valued it. And a lot of people will come at different points in my life and will remind me in a lot of different ways that you're not them. You're not them. You're better than them. You should be doing something else with your life. Your mind should be somewhere else. You can be somebody of importance. This is what I was told. And I just never believed it. I just never believed it. Shonda says, Usher is not a Kappa. Neither is former President Barack Obama. Kappa performed with Usher at the Super Bowl. He's not a member. And again, Kappa does not award honorary membership. Okay, got you. I got you, sis. Salute to you. So basically, they just got some of that money. That's what Shonda's saying. Shonda's basically saying they got some of that money, but he's not one of them. But they got some of that money. They got a check. Zuma says, shit, I like to get into BS solo. Why buy the cow when I got the milk for free? A few homeboys / girls be spilling the tea for me and tell me I'm smarter than them. Right, Zuma. Right. And see, that's the difference with your generation versus our generation. See, people in your generation will tell you, nah, bro, stay away from that. You smarter than that. You don't need to be a part of that. Our generation, we were actually being convinced to join. We were being convinced that is the thing to do. That is what you want to be. You want to be down. you know? And if you're not down, then in some form or fashion, you're going to be low on the social ladder. So this is what I love about your generation, Zuma, that y'all actually tell the truth. Y'all keep it real with each other. You know, a lot of the previous generations, we kept lies going and protected the lies to protect the people who told us the lie. With y'all generation, y'all keep it real. Nah, bro, this ain't for you. You better than that. I wish I never was with that shit. We didn't get a lot of that too much in our generation. That's actually a common thing amongst y'all generation, Zuma. That's actually a common thing. Exposing things, telling the truth, not being afraid to put it out there, not being afraid on who it offends. Our generation, we was taught to, you know, sweep things under the rug so we don't upset the structure of things, so we don't impede on the progress of things. You see? This is why when I would speak out in certain ways, a lot of people would be against it because it's like, damn, DS1, you got a strong voice. You can be, if your voice was, if you would allow us to control you, right? If you would just allow us to tell you how to speak, tell you what to speak about, you could be so much effective for your people. This is what was presented to us. DS1, you can impact your community with your voice, but you have to stop speaking the way you speak, DS1. You got to stop calling people out, DS1. I was told this. I was told this, y'all. That the way I speak is inflammatory. It's offensive. It doesn't uplift. It uproots. This is what I was told, y'all. But every time I speak this way, y'all love it. It helps y'all. It helps the people. See, it's never the people who tells me it's something wrong with the way I'm doing it. It's something wrong with what I'm doing. No, it's the people that's a part of that stuff that offered me to put my voice on a bigger platform. Right, there you go, Zuma. There you go, my brother. There you go. There you go. DS1, you gonna stay broke. Cause you like offending people. But why the people don't tell me that? That was always my response. Why doesn't the people tell me that? Y'all come in here and tell me to continue to be who I am. Stay authentic, stay genuine, stay raw, stay uncut. Because that's what helps us, DS1. See, that's what matters to me more than some nigga that's trying to promise me something. See, what y'all put in that chat box, what y'all get in the comment section and say, what y'all hit me up on Instagram and say, means more than somebody presenting a quote unquote opportunity. You see? You see? I'd rather be the people's champ than to be somebody who was created and presented to the people as a leader. See, real leaders are chosen by the people. They're not handpicked by some society. They're not handpicked by this quote unquote brotherhood. See, I'd rather be the people's champ. See, when y'all start telling me, hey, DS1, you falling off, bro. DS1, we don't want to hear that no more. Then I'll believe I'm doing something wrong. You see? And that's not, that is something that the quote unquote people in certain positions that's connected to these fraternities, that's connected to the industry, right? They're not going to erect someone that they cannot control. This is something that I learned. And this is why I'm going to say shout out to the brother Cam Jones. Because it took a lot of bravery. It probably took a lot of praying for him to do this video that he's done. You know, I've spoken to brothers, I've done consultations with brothers who have been part of the Divine Nine. I've heard some of the stories, the hazing that goes on, and how you have men out here who are now in their 40s and 50s who are still tormented by the memories of the stuff that happened to them. You see, there's a lot of guys who still have nightmares about stuff, man, who still have fears, who are still kind of socially inept in a lot of ways because of the things that happen to them. You begin to not trust no one. You begin to live your life as a loner. You don't want nobody around you because the people you trusted the most at one point in your life turned on you. And not only did they turn on you, they hurt you. And not mentally and emotionally, but physically hurt you. And there's a lot of men and a lot of women who still suffers from this stuff, man. That at some point, they thought it was the best thing for their life until they found out it was the worst thing. It was the worst thing they could have ever done. It was some of the worst things they ever been a part of. The brother Cam Jones said that not only was he hazed and abused, but he took part in hazing and abusing others. So could you imagine what that does to a person's mind? T Church says, bro, DS1, that's why I always got your back, because you remain true to yourself and everyone else. Salute, my brother. Salute, man. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? Shout out to Tanya in the building. Shout out to my brother Bob for doubling up. Salute, Bob. Bob says, I will never forget what they did to me. That's why I'm going to push myself to be the best I can be. I became a PP, bro, partly because of it. Wow. Shout out to my brother Bob, man. I didn't know you was going to come out and say it, bro. Shout out to my brother Bob, man. He said, this is why he became a passport bro. I became a passport bro partly because of it. Do y'all see this stuff? Do y'all see the connections? See, we don't play no games over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Didn't I tell y'all all this stuff is holistic? Look, he said he partly became a passport brother because of it. Because of what happened to him when he was part of the Divine Nine. Now, imagine how many other passport brothers was Divine Nine. You heard that, Shonda? You heard that, Classic Creole? You heard what Bob just admitted? You saw what he just admitted? Do you know how many other brothers are probably passport brothers that's Divine Nine? That they probably don't even know that that's the reason they passport brothers? Because Bob had to figure that out. Bob had to search within himself. Bob had to get therapy sessions for him to recognize that. You know how many other brothers probably suffering the same way? Look how this stuff is connected, y'all. Look how this stuff is connected. The passport, brothers, is some stuff that was created on the internet, y'all. Look how this stuff is connected. This is how you know this stuff is real. This stuff is for real. Man, let's listen to a little bit more and then we're gonna wrap up today's show. Because we will be back tomorrow, y'all. We will be back tomorrow.
Cooper Lake in college. The night we started pledging was different in two distinct ways. We drove way out to one of the older brothers' houses that we visited during pre-pledging, and we had to sit in our car for like 3 hours until we got the call saying that they were ready for us. And this brother was like 40-something years old, by the way. In this video, I'm going to talk about the first night that we went online. And how scared I was.
I was scared shitless.
You realize that not only were we children going through this, we were I was 19 years old.
Oh yeah, I had just turned 19.
Yeah,
right when we started.
Yeah, so we're 19-year-olds. I was not only was I 19, I had facial paralysis when this was happening. So not only we're going through this as teenagers, but people who are barely older than us are the ones in charge of our safety. And I don't know if you remember being 2021, I was not in a position to be, I was not smart.
I was not smart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my main point, is that we're not, like, the fact that we were trusted, or we trusted ourselves with that kind of responsibility, is also daunting in retrospect.
Right.
In the fall of 1989, 18-year-old Morehouse College sophomore Joel Harris collapsed during an Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity ritual and died at the hospital. The pledges were reciting fraternity history, just like we had to, and there were punishments for getting information wrong, which we also experienced. Back in 1989, things were rougher than they are now, for the most part.
Let's get the brand up to, there we go.
That's that Kappa Alpha Psi, yes, sir.
They were on the cusp of major crackdowns on hazing, but it was still very prevalent, both before and after.
Beating somebody is dumb. So what has it led to? It's led to death. You can't come back from death. It's led to massive lawsuits. It's led to Divine Nine spending millions of dollars on settlements because some fool decided to hit somebody and made somebody run and somebody died from exhaustion. That is stupid. A mother or a father does not send their child to college to return home in a body bag. That is not what the process is supposed to be about.
Harris was subjected to a circuit of punishments, including one called Thunder and Lightning, which involved getting hit in the chest and slapped in the face. Another was called Free Fall, which involved elbows, slaps, and punches to the chest. He collapsed in the midst of all this, and the postmortem showed abrasions that looked like fingernail marks on his chest. Members denied striking him, and his cause of death was an abnormal heart rhythm linked to congenital heart disease. His mother, Adrienne, crusaded against pledging after his death, and the MPHC banned traditional pledging 4 months after. Alpha Phi Alpha's most recent death that we know of occurred in 2018 when Tyler Hilliard collapsed while pledging at UC Riverside. Attorneys discovered that university officials investigated hazing allegations years prior, indicating that this was an existing pattern of behavior. My chapter considered themselves too evolved to hit people in the chest and slap them in the face, since those were all known to result in deaths and serious injuries. Instead, they resorted to things they considered to be safer, such as slaps on the back, shoving, intense exercises, psychological abuse, paddling, and occasional attacks to any other part of the body that was considered safer to target. That first night at the older chapter brother's house was like getting jumped into a gang. That's really the most accurate way I can describe it. It started at 3 a.m. or so and felt like a ceremony that was gonna end in us being on almost level ground with the brothers of the chapter, with us crossing the burning sands into the next phase of pledging. Then the masks we were wearing were pulled off our faces, and we were immediately sent into a barrage of physical abuse that had no connection to the accuracy of any information we were reciting. It was an excuse for young men to beat on even younger men.
Now, what's up, Tom? Shout out to Tom in the building. Now, notice what he said. He compared this stuff to a gang initiation. Now, watch me make the connection again. Watch this. Let me see if I could pull this video up real quick. Y'all give me 1 second. And this video I'm getting ready to pull up is a video of rapper Jim Jones saying that gangs are like fraternities. Look at how all this stuff is connected. Look at how all this stuff is connected. Hold up. Look how all this stuff is connected. Jim Jones just said that gangs are like fraternities. This brother Cam Jones just broke down how they just got beat into the fraternity. They beat them up. Like how you got to get jumped into a gang. Listen. Let's listen to Jim Jones. Because see, over here, we connect the dots. We connect the dots. Look how all this stuff is connected.
That should be a red flag. That's a trigger word.
Come on.
For gangs, recruited. That's a trigger word for drug dealers, recruited. That's a trigger word for fraternities, recruited. Keep going. And
yes,
we're gonna go into it since people want to talk about
Absolutely.
it. Absolutely. How do you get into a fraternity?
So the fraternities, they recruit you. They see you and they say, okay, you know what? Like, we feel like you represent what we down
Then
with.
after that, what happens?
After that, you got to go through a process of
degrading,
being hazed.
Okay, what's hazing?
Hazing is, all right, first you have to learn literature.
All right, fuck all the literature.
All right, but
let's get to the literature because in a gang, you gotta learn literature.
Absolutely.
You better know that lingo.
You better know it.
You better know that lingo. So that's two. Yeah. Our literature. We got recruits. We got literature. That's two. Go ahead.
Now you're getting hazed.
Now you're getting hazed. Break down what is hazing?
Beating you.
Is that physical?
That's
they physically beating you.
Yeah.
How do you become a gang member? Huh? You getting jumped in. 31 seconds. They jumping on that ass, you heard?
Absolutely.
But when they talk about fraternities, they turn everything different. Now it's hazing instead of a gang initiation, you heard?
Yeah.
You dig, and now the benefits of it is all pretty much the same thing. You dig? It's just that most of the people inside of fraternities are legal, they're lawyers, they have all these things, and they hand. But it's no different from what
it's definitely no
you
different.
heard. Each one teach one. I mean, put you on to what I got going on and shit like that. And if you look up the definition of what a fraternity is and a definition of what a gang is, it's pretty much the same definition. You heard. Yeah. But that goes to show you the difference between a hacker and a scammer. These kids inside my neighborhoods are incredibly smart. They are hacking the shit out the system. But because they come from inner city communities that we call ghettos, they call them scammers. Yeah. Now when the white people do it and they get all this Bitcoin money doing the same thing my young niggas is doing, they're hackers.
Right.
You heard?
And
you understand the difference? You heard?
Blue collar crime
type
shit.
It's the same difference between a murder and assassination and shit like that. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is how society plays on words and things like that when it don't work in their favor and shit like that. And I don't want to get too deep in it because I don't want people to keep going at me on the media, oh, you're ignorant for saying, but as ignorant as I am, y'all niggas better read. Being recruited, that's
Now, y'all heard that? Y'all see how it's all connected? So don't be surprised if your son go to college and get involved with gang activity? What's the difference if he joins a fraternity? According to Jim Jones. Based on how you join a gang is the same way you join a fraternity. It goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show. After high school, some of us went away to school and joined fraternities, and we ain't never see them again. Some of us stayed around and went to school, went to college, and joined street gangs. We didn't join institutionalized gangs. We joined street organizations. You went and joined the Divine Nine. Some of my homies is Nine Trey. What's the difference? Huh? Eastern Star? 5 Point Star? What's the difference, blood? What's the difference? Oh, one is prestigious and one is criminal. Oh, really? But now right here today, we doing a show about these so-called prestigious good organizations unaliving people. And it's been being done for years. For years. So if you want a Divine Nine organization, I don't want to hear you talking about inner city crime. I don't want to hear you talking about these YNs. Because they not doing nothing that the alphas didn't do, that the sigmas didn't do. And then you got niggas on the internet calling themselves alpha men. Look how it's all connected. In every walk of life, y'all, look how it's connected. When we talk about relationships, I want me an alpha man. Oh, you want one of them Kappa niggas. Huh. You know, one of them niggas that got his business right. You know, one of them niggas that make $100,000 a year. He work at IBM. Don't that sound real Kappa-like? You want you a smooth nigga like Alan Roger Curry. He was a Kappa. You forgot Kevin Samuels was a Kappa. Look how it's all connected. Kevin Samuels was a Kappa. Anton Daniels is a Kappa. Why you think when ARC and Kevin Samuels was beefing, ARC did the video saying that he just want to have a conversation with his Kappa brother? Who remembers that? Who remembers that? Hey, L'Oreal. Good to see you, sis. Another one of my lovely lady mods in the building today. Except it ain't done in the streets. What we talking about here? And again, this is not to make nobody feel bad for what they down with. But let's deal with reality. Don't talk about the Bloods and Crips and you in a fraternity or sorority. Because the same way you become a Kappa, you become a Blood. The same way you become a Sigma, you become a Crip. The same way. Don't you got to get beat to prove you strong enough to be a part of the gang? Isn't that what hazing is? Can you take it? Are you strong enough to be a part of this? Don't that sound like gang life to me? Are you, because what they say in the street, you gotta be what? Built like that. You gotta be built like that. Don't you gotta be built like that? Huh? When they hitting you with that paddle, don't you got to be built like that to stand there and take it? Just like when you got 5 dudes punching you all in your face and stomping you for 31 seconds. And then when the 31 seconds is up, congratulations, blood. Salute, homie. Then they start hugging you and showering you with congratulations. Don't that sound familiar? See, all I ask is people stop being hypocrites. That's all I ask. Don't talk about what's going on in the hood. It's the same shit going on our college campuses. Same thing. Same thing. Them young girls selling it on the college campus too. What you talking about? Because it's the same shit. When the females join the gang, what are they made to do? Go out and steal? Go out and set dudes up? Go out and be runners? And distribute the drugs and all of that? What these sorority girls get caught doing? What they get caught up in doing? Prostitution rings. What they get caught up in doing? Drug running for cartels. Drug running for BMF. See, a lot of y'all didn't know back in the early to mid 2000s when BMF was popping, all the young girls, why you think Jeezy and them was all at the college campuses? See, y'all. Why do you think all the young girls love Jeezy? He was at the HBCUs. BMF had them young girls working, driving cross state lines, dropping off work. We got 15,000 for you and your home girl. What you think BMF was doing? Why you think all them young girls love Jeezy? They love them that CTE album. What you think they was doing? What you think they was doing? I know a girl personally who's doing it. Working directly for a BMF nigga. Her white home girl. Driving in college, dropping that work off. From North Carolina to Atlanta. Huh? See how it's all connected? You see why the Carolinas love Jeezy and BMF? Because what's before you get to Atlanta? North Carolina and South Carolina. Y'all don't get it yet, do y'all? Y'all still don't get it yet. See, y'all, this is why they said we gotta change you, DS1. We gotta make you a different type of dude. Cause you can't be down. Cause you're gonna inform the people, DS1. Why don't you just shut up and get your money? Why you care about the people so much, DS1? The people not gonna pay your bills. We going to. See, I done got these offers to sell out my people already. Oh, I could have been gone. I could have been at 50, 60, 100,000 subscribers. I could have been there already. But I wasn't gonna make the cut. You know why? Because I care about the people too much. And because I care about standing on the truth. Because I gotta wake up every goddamn morning and look at myself. And I be damned if my son become a grown man and he gotta find out that his dad sold his bunkie to go to college. I be good and goddamn. Cause see, I was born a male. I'ma die a man. See that? I was born a male. I'ma die a man. So when my son hear about his daddy legacy, they know he gonna know his dad stood 10 toes. So that's what I gotta do. That's part of legacy. Being a man, not just looking like one. Cause see, I'd be damned if he find out some old weirdo secret about his daddy. Oh, you know your daddy like cross dressers. I'd be good and goddamn, not me. Oh, you know your daddy stripped for men for a little while to pay for your tuition. Hell no, not me. You ain't smack on me. You ain't smacking me on my ass with nothing. I don't let women touch my ass. What I look like letting a man smack me on my behind with a paddle? Are you crazy? Oh, I did this for the family. No, you bent over because you was scared. Because you actually think struggling is something bad. Not knowing whether you struggle or not in life, guess what? Nigga, at the end, you're gonna die. See, I figured that out a long time ago. People be so cold. Oh, well, I don't want to struggle. Oh, that's gonna be over once you're dead. But you want to get ready to die? You want to live so comfortable. I want to be so comfortable to where you get lazy and get complacent. You got plenty time to rest when your ass is in that coffin. You got plenty time. You got plenty of time to chill when you're dead. That's when your ass might be chilling for 1,000. You know, people still in the grave. They still there. They've been sitting in there for forever. They've been chilling for a long time. You got people who want to walk this earth and just live easy. That's not what life is. Life is a journey. Life ain't no destination. You gonna die. So life ain't the destination. It's a journey. It's something you keep going. You rest when you die. That's the real vacation. You want to go on a yacht? Jesus Day Room. That's the real vacation. That if you really want to know. You want a mansion? Make it to heaven. You want a mansion. See, we got people living life, sacrificing themselves to get things in life that's not guaranteed. You got people who want to live life on a guarantee. There's no guarantees in life. You know what the only guarantee is? You're going to check out. And you ain't going to be able to check back in. That's what you can bank on. Anything else you better pray for and be thankful about. Because the only thing guaranteed is that expiration date. Like when you buy a gallon of milk, it's going to expire. You better expect it to. Your ass is going to happen to you. Ain't no guarantee you going to live in a mansion, you going to drive a Benz, and you going to buy, and buy. That's not life. The only thing you can bank on, you going to check out. And if you try to control all of your outcomes, you end up compromising yourself. End up selling your soul. This is what happens. This is how people get caught up in this stuff. Because they do this stuff to become somebody in life. Shout out to my brother Zuma Duma, man. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate that super chat. He says, I never joined, but part of the reason why I left was because of the black community structure is cap. I'll keep rolling solo. Cause I don't blame you, bro. Shout out to my man Zuma. Appreciate you, bro. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Shout out to Art of War. Appreciate that super chat, fam. He says, you're a solid brother, DS1. Keep speaking the truth. Salute, Art of War. Appreciate you. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate everyone for pulling up. Shout out to my man Club in the building. You see? This is why people end up selling their souls. Because they want a guarantee in life. I want a guarantee that I make a certain amount of money so I can live a certain way. But now that you done got to that point, you can't even enjoy your house because you know all the shit you done to get it. And these are your celebrities. Look how it's all connected. Look how it's all connected. Hey, Terrence, if you want us to believe that your booty hole is still intact, you should have just kept your mouth shut. If you wanted us to believe that you never met baby oil, right? You should have just kept your mouth shut. See, look how it's all connected. Look how it's all connected. That's what a celebrity is. A celebrity is a lowlife who's been placed on the social totem pole in the higher realms of society. But these ain't nothing but lowlives. Then you wonder why I came up with the slogan, we need to heal before we build. Look at all our black millionaires that's still dealing with child trauma. We just heard Damon Wayans get up on Shannon Sharp's show and say he learned how to tongue kiss by kissing his brother. This man damn near 70 years old. You think that shit don't haunt him? You think that shit don't haunt him? Perfect example of this, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson never could get over how he was treated as a child. These are celebrities. The people that we then grow up and try to become. Think about this, y'all. You still want to introduce your child to fame? After we don't watch for decades what fame has done to people? And it all starts, a lot of this stuff starts right on at home. And it extends out into society. It extends on out into society. You see? Yeah, same thing happened to Dr. Umar. Same thing happened to Dr. Umar. Emotionally stunted and damaged. Facts, perfectly imperfect. Facts. Facts. Y'all saw the clip of Montel Jordan speaking on his fraternal experience. Come on, y'all. Why do y'all think some of these people in the industry have the weird fetishes that they have? It comes from them being traumatized. That's why all this stuff is connected, y'all. All this stuff is connected. All of this stuff, man. All this Greco-Roman fraternal order stuff all goes back to Egypt. And what was the Egyptians believing in? They were idol worshipers, pagan. They were pagan. You see? They believed in statues. Where do you think the home of homosexuality is? Egypt. It didn't start in Greece. It didn't start in Rome. It started in Egypt. Cross-dressers started in Egypt. Wild sexual fetishes and different things done during sex. It all started in Egypt. It all started in Egypt. Transgenders, Egypt. BDSM, wearing chains around your neck. Gag balls in your mouth. Walking around with human slaves, people on chains, walking around like dogs and cats. Egypt. 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 Before Egypt, Babylon. See, this is why I like to do the research. When you trace all this stuff back, biblically, it goes back to Babylon, the Babylonians. See? But if you want to connect these Greek fraternities, all that stuff go back to Egypt. All of it. That's why that stuff has destroyed so many black people, these black fraternities, man. And the so-called ones that they put in front of us as black leaders were sellouts. W.E.B. Du Bois was a sellout. Du Bois was a sellout. He was what? In a fraternity. Boule. You see? These are not our people. These are not people who care about our people. These are people who are agents of the devil. Let me repeat that. These are agents of the devil. That's what this stuff is about. Okay? That's the history behind Greek, Greco-Roman, all of those letters, all of that stuff. It's rooted in devil worship and debauchery. It was never meant to help nobody. Okay? All of this stuff is biblical, y'all. This is why most of the people who believe in this Egyptian stuff, they say that the Bible was fake. You get it now? This is why they say the Bible's fake. See, they have to say it's fake. When the Bible gives you a historical timeline of the earth, it breaks down the historical timeline of the earth. The Bible talks about everything. This is what I'm telling y'all. It's all referenced in the book. Transgenders, cross-dressers, homosexuality, bestiality, it's all in the book. And not only is it in the book, they tell you what people practice this stuff and how those other people convince God people to practice it. Sounds familiar? That's why they get you to join a Greek fraternity, a Greek sorority. That was happening in biblical times. Hey, here's a new way to join the devil. It's called the sorority. Here's a new way to worship the devil. It's called join a sorority and think you giving back to the community. When y'all are having wild sex parties and orgies. Think we don't know that about the sororities too? This is why a lot of sorority women are muff divers. No disrespect, But a lot of you sorority women are muff divers. A lot of y'all are not happy in y'all marriages because y'all control y'all men. Where y'all get all this from? It come from Egypt. The goddess energy. The goddess energy. You stronger than a man. All that shit come from sororities. Hayawasha. Has. Ha. Hayawata. Megan Ben told us. Hayawata. Hush. Hush. Ha. 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 Sorority. Demon lover. Megan Thee Stallion loved the devil. She got a whole video where she unaliving a man in the video and then walking around in his blood. She's a weirdo. Greek fraternities, Greek sororities. That's where all that goddess shit come from. Yep, here we go. Here we go. That's where all that goddess energy come from. All them sorority chicks. Oh, I'm into energy. I'm into energy. What type of energy? What type of energy? Oh, we have to clean your chakras. Whatever. I know what all that shit is about. It's all devil worship. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right? They just found a unique way to get you to play with the devil. So they got you lighting candles and doing incantations and thinking you a goddess. Oshun energy. Well, tell Oshun to get you a goddamn husband. Why none of them goddesses get y'all married? Huh? Why all the goddess energy keep you single and mad and aggressive? Did y'all ever ask yourselves that? Huh? Fellas, why your gods, your Egyptian gods, got you walking around looking like a cross-dresser? Huh? Why all your Egyptian gods look like Shaka Amos, a cross-dresser? Did you ever ask yourself that? Why am I so high up socially, but I'm lonely? Maybe it's because the ideology you've been believing for the past 20 years when you done took a pledge. See, the only pledge you supposed to take is acknowledging who the true and living God is. See, once you go and start taking other pledges, you then make those things your God. You can't serve two masters. You see that? There's none of that. And this is what we need to be teaching the youth. So they don't even grow up and consider this type of stuff. Because this stuff is killing our children. You heard this young man, Cam Jones? He got involved with this stuff at 19. Caleb Wilson, he died as a young man. Come on, y'all. And my thing is this. If you really care about the people, why isn't more the Divine Nine speaking up and speaking out about this stuff? Why, when things happen, y'all get quiet? I don't get it. I don't get it. Shonda says, I think much of D9 you see on social media has morphed into a gang, cult, or crazy energy worship. My theory is these people didn't know who they were before they joined and joined for the wrong reasons. Let's be real, Shonda. Let's be real. And you can agree with me or you can disagree with me. I have no issue, right? The majority of foundational Black Americans that join these Divine Nine organizations, they join them because of social validation and to get ahead in life. True or false? That's the reasoning behind it. It's not for the wrong reasons. Most Black people join them organizations so they could get better jobs, so they could get paid more money on jobs. It's a network. Just like in the pastoral community, a lot of the pastors are Divine Nine. And those people, those brothers stay together and they keep the money within their network. So any preachers that's outside of that network, that's not part of a Divine Nine organization, that's not preaching the malarkey that they're preaching, they don't get to make no money. They get ostracized. So what do you mean by the wrong reasons? The wrong reasons? There's never a good reason to join. Just like there's never a good reason to join a gang. I don't care if you were bullied. That's not a reason to join a gang. So there was never any good reasons. Never. Black people has always made decisions based out of survival mode. We just trying to get ahead. I'm just trying to pay my bills. That's what they always told me, Shonda. Every time I have conversations like this. Oh man, DS1, man, I'm just trying to pay my bills, man. I'm not a bad person. Why do people take it that way? If they not doing anything sinister. You see what I mean? If it's not anything sinister being done, then why do people take offense to it? Why people just can't be honest about this stuff? This stuff is no good for our people. It's not. Okay, I know that's the reason why you make 90 grand a year. I know. It's because one of your frat brothers is the goddamn supervisor. And he put you on. I get it. I get it. I know. Most of our uncles and older cousins and all that joined gangs back in the day because they was hungry. They was broke. And you had weirdos and freaks like Africa Bambaataa that was giving out drugs in an impoverished community, and at the same time giving out drugs for these young men to make money. He was taking their innocence. Africa Bambaataa was part of the Nuwapians that was ran by Malachi Z. York, who was a Mason. You see this? Look how it's all connected. Bam, before they became Zulu Nation, he was a part of the Black Spades. That was a street gang. They were selling drugs. This is how Hassan Campbell got down with Bam. They would sell drugs in the day and give up booty at night. This is how Bam did them young boys. This how Bam did them young boys. Selling drugs in the day, giving up booty at night. Don't this sound like a Divine Nine organization? See, in front of everybody, we organized, we militant. At night, you're getting abused. Nobody hear you screaming at night. Nobody hear you crying at night. See? Nobody hear when they beating you up, when they molesting you, when they graping you. But in the day, you Divine Nine. Why y'all don't like to talk about this? Why does this upset y'all? Shout out to my man Kwafi. Kwafi said, not my chapter. What up, Kwafi? What's up, Mary Williams? See? Come on, man. That's nasty work, Zuma. That's nasty work, man. Yeah, York was a Mason. Yeah, York was a Mason. Absolutely. Leprosy as a divine punishment and a sign of impurity. Yeah, York was a Mason. Definitely was a Mason. Yeah, it's disgusting. What's up, Nicole? Them spirits got them. That's why they can't talk. And not just that, L'Oreal. How about they know that they're going to get in trouble? Because part of the pledge, remember what Jay-Z said. See how it's all connected? What did Jay-Z say? One of his famous quotes, it's a secret society. All we ask is trust. Meaning, what happens amongst us stays amongst us. It's a secret society. All we ask is trust. You make a vow and you make a pledge to secrecy. When you take these pledges of Divine Nine, you promise that you will never tell. Why y'all think snitching is a big thing? Why you think nobody likes to snitch? Nobody. Whoever grew up hearing this, what happens in this house stays in this house. Sound familiar, right? Look how it's all connected. That means if you are abused or violated, you keep that shit in this house. You don't tell nobody. Sounds familiar? Can't nobody help you with what happened to you outside of us. Divine Nine. Divine Nine. See? So if you getting violated, you got to talk to the same people who's a part of violating you. You got to go ask the questions to the same people who's a part of the system that's hurting you. Divine Nine. Look how it's all connected. Look how it's all connected. You see why Diddy has so many victims that were scared to come out? Look how it's all connected, y'all. It's all connected, man. It's all connected. See, and that has always been my issue, my problem. That's why I couldn't be down. Because once I make the connection, I'm going to come tell the people. And if I would have took a pledge, I understand what comes with those pledges. I understand that I could have lost my life. They'll take you out. I know this. I watched the movie Skulls about the skull and bones. They'll take your life. Not figuratively, but literally. They'll kill you. I know this. Just like in a gang. If you snitch, you die. It's the same thing in these fraternities and these Divine Nine organizations. They'll kill you. They'll kill you. And this is why if you're going to tell your children don't join a gang, you also need to tell them to never join a fraternity, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. That's why you always had gangs in hip hop. Because that is the fraternity of hip hop. Gangs. Africa Bambaataa, the Black Spades. Gang banging turned into fraternal orders, where their leader is the devil. Their ideology and their literature all comes from the devil. You see? Because the devil likes to beat you into submission. The devil likes for you to beg and to plead for him to stop. The devil's into torture. That's all the devil, y'all. The devil like to haze you. The devil like to tease you, humiliate you. That's the devil, y'all. That's the devil. This is why we need to keep our children away from this stuff. We can't just keep them out the street and then think we ain't got to protect them when they walk in that goddamn schoolhouse. Oh, he good. He at school. Don't you know your son could not come home? See, we got to understand that times are not the same. See, our parents used to just send us to school, walk us to the goddamn school door, and then go to work. Let security take us into school. It's not like that no more. You might send your child on the school bus and they never come back on the school bus. And you asking the bus driver, where my child at? Oh, I don't know. I didn't pick him up. And then your child just go missing. This is the type of shit that's going on today. While we walking around just thinking, oh, whatever. Okay. Okay. I know your daughter a cheerleader. Do she got to be in a sorority to be on a step team? Or does it make her easier? Does it make it easier to her to get on the step team if she's in a sorority? See, I know the game. It makes it easier for your son to become the goddamn captain of the football team because he's teammates with the crew leader of the fraternity. He's the quarterback. They frat brothers. So that's why the quarterback gonna always throw the ball to your son, because it's about making them two look good, because it's about making the fraternity look good. It's about showing the devil, look at us. We doing exactly what we told you to do. You see? And we look at it like, oh, look at the highlights. Oh, my son is making history. Yeah, he's making a nice bed in hell. That's what he's doing. Yeah, look good. Yeah, he going to the NFL. He bought houses. He is making a nice bed in hell. See, because we think, because we went and bought stuff and got successful, that grants you a ticket to heaven. No. You know how many successful people burning? He had a Learjet. He left $100 million to his kids and everything. But something I was always taught by my parents. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. So it's not just about becoming successful, how you did it. Now, your success don't matter, right? If your booty hole look like chewed up homework. If your booty hole look like the dog ate your homework, then your success is irrelevant. You ain't helped nobody. You helped yourself. And in the process, you got your booty hole eaten up. See, this is wrong with the black community. And then we wonder why we looked at the way we looked at, because all we are is rappers. When we talk about success, we talk about rap niggas. We talk about rap niggas. Niggas who walking around 25% man. But been all in your goddamn face your whole life as a man. And then y'all women wondering why y'all get in relationships with DL men. It's because you've been lusting after DL men since you was a little girl. You thought he was a man. You remind me of my Jeep. Something like my car. Taught you to like child molesters. See? Taught you to like child molesters. Taught you to be young and fast. Because that's what R. Kelly like. R. Kelly like them girls that remind him of his car. That ain't no grown-ass woman. See, y'all ain't never think about this. Who was he singing to? He was singing to grown women? What grown woman want to hear, you remind me of my car? No. Them grown women was raised off that shit as kids. I can't sleep, baby. We was raised off this shit. He's a child predator. He's locked up right now for child pornography. That's why he's in jail. Do y'all know that, right? That's why he never coming home. Because he made those tapes. And those girls he had on tape was underage. That's called child pornography. That's why he never coming out of jail. Not because them girls, not because them other girls. It was about them girls he had on tape. Look at this. Come on now. Same shit happened to us fellas. We all in love with the gangsters. Then we find out that all the gangsters play with sex toys. Pink horsepower. Pink horsepower. We grew up loving Cameron. What Cam grew up talking about? Sex, drugs, and entertainment. What is the black community comprised of? What are the successful people that come from the black community? What walks of life do they come from? Sex, drugs, and entertainment. Whenever we talk about somebody black that did something for the community, he used to sell bricks. He was a pimp. He was a rapper. He robbed banks. It's all connected. It's all connected, y'all. What up, Cartel? It's all connected. Don't let your son be the next Caleb Wilson. Don't let your daughter be one of those young ladies that we saw on today's show who got drowned because she was actually unalived by her so-called sorority sisters. Some of y'all women love y'all sorority sisters more than you love your blood sister. The same one that came out your mama with you. You love your sorority sisters more than you love your real one. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Shout out to everyone for coming through today. I appreciate everyone for pulling up, man. Salute to everyone. Shout out to my lovely lady mods for coming through and holding it down today. Salute, salute, salute. We will be back tomorrow with another show because next week, y'all, I probably won't be going live. We will not have a Monday morning show. So that's why we're going live tomorrow. We will not have a Monday morning show, a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon show. So tomorrow we will be live tomorrow. I'm thinking about double streaming tomorrow. So y'all definitely make sure y'all set y'all bell notifications. If y'all are new here, make sure you hit that bell before you hit or after you hit that subscribe button before you get up out of here. Make sure y'all bell notifications are set because we will be going live tomorrow because next week I'll probably only be streaming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the rest of the week. But the beginning of the week, I will not be streaming. But salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Good to see you, Miss Angie B. Welcome back, Miss Angie B. Great to see you. Great to see you. Shout out to all my lovely lady mods for coming through and holding it down. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shonda. I really appreciate your support. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And you know you always welcome over here at any time. Shout out to you, Miss Shonda. Shout out to everyone for pulling up. Shout out to all the visionaries, man. Salute to all the bros, man. Salute to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all pulling up. I appreciate all the financial support as well. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all, man. To everyone who hit that super chat. Salute, salute, salute. If you hit the Cash App, it is very much appreciated as well. If you would like to, the Cash App is $DS100 Network. That's $DS100 Network on Cash App. Or you can hit me up at PayPal or Venmo at Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Other than that, man, I'm going to catch y'all tomorrow. Y'all stay tuned because we might be double streaming. DS1 Ross, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.